to talk about the Brazilian ITC market. I feel that this is a very interesting and modern activity that not all diplomats have the chance to speak about. Over the years, I've had various types of interactions with the sector in Brazil, and I will be more than happy to share these pieces of information with you, and also some stories about my personal experience also as a 60-year-old consumer of Brazil. We can say that the starting point of Brazil's IT market was somewhere around the 80s. The precise date is still debated, still questions. There's various criteria for that. But nowadays, I can say that Brazil's IT market is valued at approximately 46 billion US dollars. These are the statistics of 2022. Okay? This represents approximately, according to Brazilian data, this represents approximately 40% of the Latin American market, including Mexico, which is considered to be a country of North America. But Latin American countries are all the countries which speak Spanish and Portuguese. Total revenue of the telecom market in Brazil, that is, telecom market is not the IT market. It adds on nowadays to and become the ITC market. So this market should reach close to 50 billion US dollars in this year of 2023, thanks to the intensive use of smartphones, whose number has surpassed 190 million, or roughly equivalent to the population of the country, which has nowadays around 205 million inhabitants. So smartphones in Brazil became a popular item in our culture, mostly in the 90s, and they were the second electronic gadget that the Brazilian consumer, even the consumer with a lower buying power, the second gadget that we had access to, basically because the first electronic gadget that we had access to, as you might remember, is the bank teller. Brazil in the 80s had a very fragile economy. We had inflation rates of up to 2% a day, and because of that, the Brazilian consumer as a whole became accustomed to going to the bank and operating with his money in a very agile manner, and this allowed the banks to develop these bank tellers, these bank smart machines, to deal and handle and process this information in a very agile manner. The developing of our financial sector also helped Brazil to integrate itself. As you might remember, Brazil is a very large country. Brazil has 5,500 counties. And in all these counties, there is a bank. There is a Bank of Brazil, there is a Bradesco, there is a Banco Itaú Unibanco, there is a Santander now that we have also foreign investments in the financial sector. And these banks are very close to the customer. They finance agriculture, they finance building, they interact with the customer. The manager of this bank, his sons go to the same school as the farmer, as the businessman, so he has a close relationship. He understands who are the good customers. So the bank and the financial sector helped Brazil to integrate itself with the faraway corners of Brazil, in the north, in the rainforest, in the small towns, in the semi-arid northeast, basically in all corners of Brazil. So software production for finance, electronics, government procurement, information security, telecommunications, and manufacture became let's say a common practice among producers of software and software solutions, basically from the 90s onwards. And I can tell you, for example, that government procurement was also a sector of the information technology and communication sector that developed in Brazil rather quickly. For example, in the area of government transparency, we developed the use of a credit card. This credit card allowed for all the mayors of certain counties in Brazil which suffered emergencies in floods, suffered emergencies in droughts, to have access to credits that were given to these counties to solve their emergency problems. And there was the possibility of any common citizen, this is called government transparency in Brazil, to have access to how the expenses of the credit card was being made. He could access this to the General Government Transparency Initiative site and know whether his mayor, his government authority, local government authority was doing a proper expense of what the government was allowing them to spend. Additionally, we had, of course, and I think that in Serbia you also have this, we have the tax returns are now completely being paid by both companies and by individuals through the internet. I would say that 99.9% of all tax returns are being done through the internet by the consumers nowadays. The other very interesting sector which has developed in Brazil, and this is something that is a development of the 90s and the early 2000s, is the increased connectivity.
Meu nome é Pedro Perácio, trabalho na Prefeitura do Rio, meu cargo é o chefe executivo digital da Prefeitura. A coordenadoria foi inspirado você gerenciar um pouco de todas as redes sociais que existem já hoje nos canais que a gente já tem abertos da Prefeitura com o cidadão. Você consegue passar muita informação para o cidadão e com isso você ajuda ele no dia a dia, né? A cidade durante muito tempo ela esteve muito abandonada, teve muito tempo assim de poucos investimentos, as grandes empresas saindo da cidade. Então a gente teve uma grande oportunidade com a vinda desses Olimpíadas e reinventar a cidade. Antes quando você tinha algum transtorno muito grande, alguma enchente, algum acidente, você tinha pouca agilidade para poder tomar uma atitude mais rápida. O Centro de Operações unir mais de 30 órgãos no mesmo espaço, 24 horas olhando, prestando atenção.
A gente começou com as redes sociais sabendo aonde tinha acidente e hoje o próprio cidadão, ele informa no Waze. Estamos começando a fazer um trabalho futuro de poder gerar SMS para os cidadãos que estão próximos a uma área afetada, para que esse cidadão não entre dentro de um local que está com problema.
Se você tiver um poste de luz apagado, você tira a foto do poste, envia a foto, o GPS já te localiza onde você está e você já envia para essa central única de atendimento. Você já recebe um torpedo dizendo em quanto tempo você vai ter esse serviço feito. Internet de todas as coisas, eu acho que o Centro de Operações é um bom exemplo disso, né?
Então temos tentado fazer todas essas comunicações com o cidadão em tempo real, que é o futuro hoje da sociedade. Eu acho que em 10 anos a gente tem que estar com a comunicação muito maior, muito mais rápida.
Isso vai ser um grande avanço da device que você vai vestir. Você cada vez mais vai estar automatizado isso dentro do seu dia a dia, né? Ele saber quando eu entrar no carro, em quanto tempo eu vou chegar no trabalho, se vai chover ou se tem um acidente. Então pegue outra via. Qualquer espaço que você tiver, é importante que esteja tudo integrado, né? Para você ter as informações cada vez mais fáceis para você trabalhar no seu dia a dia.
Between factories and networks of both networks of data, but also networks of electricity. And Brazil produces a lot of sugar and a lot of alcohol. As some of you may be aware that Brazil is the only country which produces 50% of its fuel for transportation. Automobiles, buses, trucks, locomotives is done with sustainable fuels. That is, we use alcohol from sugarcane, we use alcohol and biodiesel from corn, from soybeans, from sunflower seeds, and we generate oils and fuels which mix into the general fuels that we have, and that allows them to produce transportation with 90% less carbon dioxide emissions. So these plants which produce the alcohol, 500 plants, generate excess electricity, and this electricity is linked to the network all throughout Brazil. 20 gigawatts, they produce the equivalent nowadays of approximately 20 gigawatts into the electricity system in Brazil. Now I can say that the development of this network of factories and plants generating electricity has developed into a greater use of businessmen as a whole, of machines, mobile or not, which are connected to the internet. So they can be generators which are pumping water from the underground. They can be tractors which are harvesting for sugarcane or for soybeans. They can be drones which are passing over the farms which have animal husbandry facilities to verify if all the animals are there, if they have sufficient water, if they have sufficient feed for them. And this is called, and it is not different here in Serbia, I suppose, the Internet of Things. It is expected that by 2025, Brazil could reach 27 billion items or machines connected to the internet. So this is one of the interesting developments of Brazil in the past few years. Brazilian companies have globalized themselves, and software IT companies are not different. Over 3 phases. The initial phase was basically a lot of the larger companies in Brazil who went overseas to establish warehouses, small manufacturing facilities overseas in the larger markets in North America, South America, Europe. And the second phase, we had medium-sized companies already establishing themselves in Asia and elsewhere. And in the third phase, we had software companies in Brazil, software and services companies in Brazil, establishing themselves overseas. By coincidence, I had a personal experience also in assisting these companies moving overseas, and it was the same time that Tata Consulting and Wipro, so as I was saying, in the third phase, Brazilian IT companies started accompanying government efforts in bringing them to other markets, bringing them to foreign markets. And it was also the phase where the Indian companies opened their back office installations in Brazil. In Brazil it was a challenge doing this, because the culture of Brazil of having other people working in the Brazilian market at that time was not very developed. Multinational corporations had been working in Brazil for over 100 years, but mostly these companies were being operated by Brazilians. We didn't see so many Germans and Italians and Japanese operating in Brazil, but starting in the early 2000s, we began having a substantial number of workers developing their activities in Brazil. And it was also the time that Brazilian IT companies went overseas. And there are a few companies which have had a substantial amount of success, and you might see them in their sites. You will see that they have affiliates a little bit everywhere, but the largest ones I would say are TOTUS, CT&I, and Stefanini, which, by the way, has important operations very close by. They have 2 offices in Romania right now.
At Stefanini Group, we go beyond buzzwords. We're in 41 countries with 25,000 employees, in 70 offices supporting 35 languages. We're creative, big enough to act globally, and small enough for customer centricity. We are manufacturing, banking, marketing, technology, analytics, AI services, and more. We understand digital transformation, and we'll help you get there. Let's make technology an agent of change.
Marco Stefanini participated in some of the meetings that we organized when we started traveling to Northern Africa, to Morocco, Algeria, Egypt, and I'm sure that he's developed some sort of partnership with these countries at this point. So there is a substantial interaction between Brazilian companies and Brazilian clusters of research and development technologies in universities. Most universities, important universities linked specifically to the ITC sector, are located in the state of São Paulo. The state of São Paulo is a state which is geographically, it is relatively large. I would say around 3 to 4 times the size of Serbia. It has a population of around 25-30 million people. And the research centers for ITC and the companies that I just mentioned to you, which are operating overseas, but all of the companies which do, for example, maintenance of all the terminals in Brazil, the computer terminals in Brazil, are located basically in and around São Paulo. And the universities, I can tell the names here, but I won't glad to give you the addresses specifically if you would like. They are called Unicamp from the city of Campinas, They are called University of São Paulo, naturally from the capital city of São Paulo. Then there is the Catholic University in Rio, Catholic University in the state of Rio Grande do Sul, which is the southernmost state of Brazil on the border with Uruguay and Argentina. And there's also the State University of Juiz de Fora, which is a city located in the state of General Mines, Minas Gerais, very close to Rio de Janeiro. So there is an expectation on the part of the ITC sector, which has been increasing its activities around 20% year on year. There is an expectation that this year and next year will be good years for the industry, which is a very good thing. In the beginning of 2023, we had a new president, a new government. People were concerned about political, fiscal, and tax issues.
De tudo sobre a urna eletrônica, aposto que tem uma coisa que ainda não. A partir deste ano, as urnas eletrônicas vêm com uma novidade. Já sabe qual é? Elas vão ter a tradução em libras. Isso mesmo. Na votação, a urna eletrônica terá um tradutor de libras na tela que vai explicar cada cargo em disputa. É mais acessibilidade a todos os brasileiros, já que as eleições são para todos nós. Todo voto importa.
Vai matar? De cabeça para baixo o nome ali. Vamos aqui agora na senhora. Aí tá bom, tá bom. Não, eu tô com 28 aqui. Eu tô com 35. O negócio aqui ideal era...
Boa tarde. Bem-vinda de novo.
Vem hoje e só retorna amanhã, após o encerramento do período, né, do horário eleitoral.
Dorme na comunidade?
Dorme na comunidade, né, tem alojamento da escola.
Não deixa de fazer isso não, cara. Isso aqui é importante demais, isso aqui é mais do que...
Que revele nada, que diga nada. 7.
9, 7, 16, né? Mais o frango?
Essa eleição não veio aqui sequer até agora eu não me lembro que veio.
Não veio nenhum candidato.
Nenhum candidato.
Hello. My greetings to all of you in Serbia. My name is Djalma Petit. I am from Brazil. Thanks for inviting me to do this short presentation in this CIO Leadership Forum. I will give you today a brief portrait about the Brazilian software and IT services industry. And I will suggest some kind of potential partnership between Brazilian and Serbian companies as well. I am in Brasilia, our federal capital. Nowadays, I am the president of TechSoft. TechSoft is an IT companies association, and its main objective is to promote the growth of sector of IT in Brasilia. Running initiatives like development of marketing and business, improve quality of software and solutions, raise money for investments, and so on. Besides, I am the CEO for Digital Capital Consulting, a small consulting firm located in Brasilia. We work with strategic planning, business planning, M&A, management of innovation, and related initiatives. Take a look at some photos from Brasilia. About the Brazilian demographics and socioeconomics. In this slide, you can see some facts and figures about Brazil. We are a republic, and the chief of the state is the president of the republic. And he is the chief of government too. Our language is Portuguese, since we was a colony of Portugal until the century 16. We have a huge territory, as you can see in this slide, and we have a very big population too, around 203 million inhabitants. We still are a development country, but our economy is very dynamic and large. We are the 10th largest economy in the world and the first in Latin America. Our economy is sophisticated, modern, and completely open, so almost all the big global corporations have operations here. Shifting our gaze to the Brazilian industry of IT. It is very huge, as you can see in this slide. Look at these figures. And since we have to serve a big consumer market, we became, as a sector, very big too. I presume that right now we are at the position 12 among the biggest IT markets in the world. Internet penetration is very comprehensive, and there still are government programs to incentivize it. We have almost the same number of citizens and cell phones line. That is a little bit smaller. So understand the potential of our internal markets for e-commerce, for instance. The numbers shown in this slide for exportation software and services is underestimated. Regarding of exportation of software and IT services, Brazilian companies do prefer opening operations abroad, operating directly in the country clients. So it is not considered as exportation in the official statistics. The total market is around $45 billion. Software plus services reaches around $21 billion. We estimate a growth of 20% from 22 to 23. This slide is just for comparing Brazilian IT marketing and the other IT markets in Latin America. And it gives you a good picture what is happening in our region. You can see that Brazil leads the region in terms of dimension of IT markets. Companies are the core of our industry. This table shows you how many companies are here. 8.5 thousand of software development companies operating in Brazil. Almost 12,000 of companies with focus on sales and distribution, and 13,000 dedicated to provide IT services. Quantity of software development companies according its size. The pyramid shows us the amount of software development companies, considering the number of employees. 164 companies have more than 500 employees. We have some companies with more than 5,000 employees. We have companies with 5, 6, 10, or even 10 or more thousand employees. What verticals the companies serve? In this slide, we can see what sectors demand more solutions and services to our companies in terms of value. Services and telecom is in the first place in terms of market size, 5.33 billion, as you can see. Following is banks and finance with almost the same value, $5.27 billion. Industrial sector, retail, and governments are important buyers for our companies too. It is important to say that since our economy is completely open, so the companies here have to compete internally with the main IT firms of the world while they serve those sectors. Labor pool. We have 1.2 million professionals working in the industry right now. But there is a strong shortage of professionals for our sector. The estimates are that we will need, in the next years, 106,000 new professionals each year until 2025. I can mention that we consider our professionals creative, committed, and highly qualified in general. In the past, English speaking was a concern, but this scenario is changing fastly. The society in general, they are understanding the relevance of to be an English speaker. For example, middle-class families provide additional English classes for the children and teenagers, besides the English classes they have in the regular school. So the future professionals will be English speakers. By my researchers, the HR courses, human resource courses for IT are similar in Brazil and Serbia, which opens a way for partnerships. Some words about innovation. The startups ecosystem is very dynamic here. There are almost 30,000 startups in Brazil nowadays. 23 of them already have valuation over $1 billion. Our startups together have raised $4.5 billion last year for investments. Take a look at the main tech trends they follow today. Still about innovation. Tech parks in Brazil are booming. They are concentrated especially in South and Southeast regions. But government has made efforts to foment parks in Northeast, North and Center-West regions of the country. Brazil has an important number of science and technology institutes in IT. And they work very close to the companies, developing new technologies and innovation to go to the markets. How we can collaborate? I see that there are some promising opportunities to be explored by Brazilian serving companies together. The first one, in my opinion, is to establish joint ventures between Brazilian and serving companies to provide software solutions and IT services to European clients, including ex-EU companies. You are in Europe, so you understand how the marketing works better than us, Brazilians. Due to your geographical position, your firms can easily access the clients there. I believe that we can run projects in the business verticals. We have expertise, providing solutions similar that are used by the multinational companies that have operations in Brazil. I mean, if a branch of an international bank here, for example, buys from a Brazilian company, we can try to sell to its branches in Europe the same solution or similar to it. Other opportunity that I think is Brazilian companies hire Serbian firms to outsourcing projects. By my researches, the costs here are there and there are similar, as I told you. So maybe there are companies here that would outsourcing to Serbian companies. However, I think it should be evaluated more deeply. The third one possibility of potential partnership is putting together universities and R&D service centers to develop joint projects in the interest of companies of both countries. Let's work with the competencies and the skills of our R&D centers together to develop innovation to our companies. Before finishing, I would like to say that I'm completely available to study possibilities of working together. Feel free to contact me. Finally, I would like to thank you very much for watching me in this presentation. It was a pleasure to talk to you by me in this recorded presentation. You can see my contact information in the screen in these slides. We have here my cell phone and my emails. Please count on me to help you in what you need to run projects in and with Brazil. I hope we can meet personally someday. Best regards.
Você já parou para pensar na importância do trabalho realizado pela aduana brasileira? Eu te convido agora para conhecer um pouco mais desse universo. Todos os dias, toneladas de produtos entram e saem do Brasil, seja pelas estradas, pelos portos ou pelos aeroportos. Mas antes de qualquer mercadoria entrar ou sair do Brasil, é preciso passar pela aduana brasileira. São insumos para a indústria, máquinas, equipamentos, roupas, alimentos, eletrônicos, automóveis e inúmeros outros artigos essenciais no mundo moderno. Em um país de dimensões continentais como o Brasil, o volume de entrada e saída de mercadorias é enorme e é preciso garantir ao mesmo tempo segurança e fluidez a esse comércio. A aduana está presente nos 8,5 milhões de quilômetros quadrados do território brasileiro. São mais de 16 mil quilômetros de fronteira terrestre e quase 8 mil na orla marítima. Ao todo, 41 aeroportos têm a presença da aduana. Pela orla marítima, são 40 portos e 218 instalações portuárias, além de 34 pontos de fronteiras e 63 unidades de interior, onde são processadas anualmente mais de 3,6 milhões de declarações de importação e exportação. A aduana da Receita Federal garante maior segurança ao comércio exterior, facilitando a integração econômica, o acesso aos mercados e a assinatura de acordos comerciais. Uma das missões mais importantes da aduana brasileira é sua contribuição para a regulação econômica, assegurando a proteção tarifária, combatendo práticas desleais e melhorando o ambiente de negócios do país. Além disso, integrada ao Plano Estratégico de Fronteiras do Governo Federal, a Receita Federal tem exercido com tecnologia de ponta e inteligência um papel fundamental no combate ao contrabando e descaminho, ao tráfico de drogas, à pirataria, à sonegação fiscal, à lavagem de dinheiro e aos crimes contra os consumidores e o meio ambiente. São realizadas anualmente mais de 3.000 operações de vigilância e repressão ao contrabando e descaminho. Essa atividade tem como objetivo prevenir a entrada de produtos ilícitos e combater a prática dessas condutas tão danosas. E o resultado não poderia ser melhor. As apreensões da vigilância e a repressão cresceram 54% nos últimos 3 anos. Por exemplo, todo ano mais de 180 milhões de maços de cigarro são impedidos de entrar irregularmente no país e são destruídos, juntamente com toneladas de produtos falsificados apreendidos. A apreensão total de mercadorias realizada pela Receita Federal nas atividades de fiscalização, vigilância, repressão e controle sobre o comércio exterior nos portos e aeroportos, inclusive bagagem, já superou nos últimos anos o volume de 2 bilhões de reais. Apesar da fiscalização rigorosa, a aduana brasileira se preocupa com a facilitação do comércio e, por isso, investe em tecnologia para acelerar a liberação de mercadorias e reduzir os custos para os operadores, assegurando simplicidade, transparência e previsibilidade. Com o Programa Brasileiro de Operador Econômico Autorizado já em vigor no Brasil, as empresas que apresentam baixo risco em suas operações são certificadas e recebem inúmeros benefícios, como a agilização dos procedimentos de segurança e controle de mercadorias, redução da burocracia e economia de custos. Através do aprimoramento do Siscomex, as importações, exportações e liberações de cargas estão mais ágeis. Além disso, para facilitar ainda mais a vida dos importadores, a Receita Federal criou o aplicativo App Importador. Com ele, o usuário pode acompanhar o despacho aduaneiro de suas mercadorias, fazer simulação de importações e cálculo de tributos e consultar a NCM e a alíquota dos produtos. Hoje, do tempo médio total de permanência das cargas nos portos desde a chegada do navio, o despacho aduaneiro de importação toma, em média, menos de 40 horas. E esse tempo vem se reduzindo ano a ano, com o aperfeiçoamento dos sistemas e da gestão de risco. Mais de 83% das declarações aduaneiras de importação são liberadas em menos de 24 horas. Na exportação, a liberação da mercadoria acontece em menos de 4 horas para mais de 95% das declarações. No controle da bagagem, um recurso tecnológico importante para o viajante é o aplicativo EDBV. Com ele, além de ter acesso a dicas e orientações, você pode fazer a declaração dos bens adquiridos por tablet ou smartphone, e o preenchimento da declaração pode ser realizado offline, ainda no exterior. A transmissão dos dados ocorre quando houver conexão com a internet, e o pagamento dos impostos devidos, se for o caso, pode ser feito por meio de cartão de débito no momento da chegada. É simples, rápido e fácil. Essas iniciativas têm gerado resultados muito importantes, tanto na eficácia dos controles, como na simplificação, transparência e previsibilidade dos processos. E o país alcança a facilitação do comércio, que é fundamental para a competitividade da nossa economia. A Receita Federal está abrindo as portas para um Brasil melhor.
As a Brazilian ambassador who has been in Serbia for a year and a half, and I feel that only now I'm beginning to understand the mentality of the Serbians, which is, by the way, very similar to ours, and to a very large extent. One of the things that impressed me when I arrived was the fact that Serbia was much more industrialized than all the surrounding countries. that I happened to visit over the past few decades, actually. And the number two, the very large amount of, let's say, worldwide corporations which have chosen to establish themselves here in Serbia for their regional headquarters. And I want to invite Serbians who have been interacting with these very important corporations to come to Brazil, come to visit our international ITC fairs, come to engage our universities and research centers, and form joint ventures with Brazilian companies, which might be able to give you a better view of what we are doing in Brazil in terms of offering services to our clients, but also even finding solutions for Brazilian companies using your own creativity that I'm sure is very, very well prepared and endowed. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and I wish you success in this very interesting seminar and meeting that you are having right now.